20 years ago, and trying to move forward. Note ahead of time. I'm not considering leaving my wife or ruining my marriage based on any of this. I'm just trying to process what I've learned and make sure we can move forward in the best way. Also note there are new updates to this story. Also note that we've had a wonderful life together and marriage overall, and as dramatic as this story sounds, I really believe our love and commitment for each other will endure. My 38 meters wife 38 and I first got together in senior year of high school. I was head over heels in love with her, but she saw me as a friend at first. She also had a boyfriend for the 3 years before who had cheated on her and they broke up. I was a virgin, she was not. We had a long, awkward start to our relationship where she acted interested in me. I tried to make moves and she kept withdrawing. But then every time I tried to give up on pursuing her, she would come to me and say she didn't like how I wasn't talking to her, and she would act flirtatious and invite me to hang out. She kept saying she wasn't ready to have a relationship yet, but she really liked me. In the spring of our senior year we slowly, over a few months, started getting closer and progressing from kissing to more. In my mind at the time, we were pretty much together even if she didn't want to call it that. She assured me she didn't like any guys other than me. She just didn't want a relationship yet. I didn't understand this because we went on dates, were physically intimate, etc. Even though she didn't want a relationship, she would sometimes act jealous of other girls who liked me, and she would tell me this. It was like she didn't want me to be with anyone else, but she still didn't want to say we were fully together. Toward the end of senior year, late April, she eventually agreed that I was her boyfriend, although our last month in school was still a little awkward as she didn't like showing much affection with me at school, but outside of school we were all over each other. In late May we graduated high school. We have been together ever since, and married and had kids. Early in our relationship, when we discussed what our anniversary should be, I proposed that our relationship anniversary be the day we first kissed, in February. She agreed to that and we've celebrated that day ever since. She had assured me that she was only with me at that time, but she was just a mess and weird about the relationship thing due to her previous breakup. She apologized a lot to me for making things difficult early on, because she really was a mess and put me in a lot of tough spots in that time. I had forgiven her for all of that long ago, and I honestly hadn't thought much of that time period for many years. Skip to now, nearly 20 years later. After talking with an old friend in high school and thinking of those days, I started thinking again about how weird the beginning of our relationship was. I started having worries that, since we weren't technically saying we were exclusive for a while, had she ever done anything after our anniversary date with another guy? She had told me many years before that nothing had happened, but I worried about it again. I felt stupid bringing this up after so many years. She assured me that no, she didn't do anything with anyone other than me after our first kiss, the day we celebrate as our anniversary. But then she quickly said she had to go to bed and was tired. I then did something very wrong in my moment of distrust and insecurity, and for the first time ever, I looked briefly in one of her journals. I saw that 10 months ago she had written that she was feeling disconnected from me and that I'm infatuated with someone and don't know how to work through it. She then wrote something about why can't she just be content, and why does she want things that are forbidden. On the positive side, the next parts of her journal talked about wanting to be closer to me, and trying to talk with me about it to work on our marriage. But still, I was terrified that she may have had an affair, and I knew I had to come clean about reading it, so I admitted to her that I saw that part of her journal, and apologized and how I knew I had broken her trust. She said she honestly couldn't even remember what that infatuation thing was about, but she was probably just attracted to someone. I didn't press because I knew how much I hurt her in reading her journal. The next day, though, we talked briefly about it again, and I asked her how it's possible she didn't remember what that was about. She admitted reluctantly that she did remember, but it was nothing. She was just attracted to someone, and it wasn't a big deal, and she worked through it, and was just processing by writing it down back then. She said nothing has ever happened. She never expressed feelings for anyone, nothing inappropriate happened, etc. She said, "Haven't you ever been attracted to someone?" And I said of course, but infatuation is a strong word. And she basically said all she meant by it was attraction. Again, I figured it wasn't right for me to try to make her tell me who it was, so when she clearly didn't want to, I didn't press. I will admit though, that I feel almost certain I know who it is. A colleague of hers who she doesn't work very closely with, and I've seen no evidence that makes me think she ever has done anything. After all of that, we had some other later discussions in recent weeks about our early relationship. I told her that I know I was wrong to read her journal that night, but I've just been feeling insecure and confused. She acted like she understood and started acting very sad. She again assured me nothing had happened early in our relationship. The next day, she was crying a lot and saying she felt really bad and wanted to talk. She said that actually, during our first spring together, one night she had sex with her ex-boyfriend. I asked her when this was. She said, March or April, I think. I was devastated. Yes, that time period in our dating was kind of blurry, but at the time she told me how much she liked me and she wasn't interested in anyone else, and she had assured me later that we were exclusive at that time, and we've celebrated this anniversary day and reminisced about our early relationship. Oh, many times over our 20 years together. She's been hiding this secret from me and feeling guilty about it, and now that I had finally pushed multiple times to talk more about those days, she finally admitted it. She insisted that she doesn't remember the exact date or even month that she slept with her ex during. It was important to me, because her and I were progressing at different stages depending on the timing. She says she honestly can't remember, but knows it was during that spring. She then started saying she knows it was before such and such that happened in early April. She then says it could have even happened in February, or even December or January. It's hard for me to believe she wouldn't remember more about the timing of this secret that she's felt guilty about for 20 years, but she insists it's true. I know we weren't officially boyfriend and girlfriend at the time, but we were dating, and that she did this and hid it from me. Celebrating this fake anniversary with me for 20 years was just really hard to wrap my mind around. She felt horrible about it, but was also surprised that I took it so poorly. I didn't get angry, but I was in a very depressed and sad, questioning state. She admitted that she was worried back at the start of our relationship that if I had known about this that I wouldn't have wanted to be with her. I told her that even though it's difficult for me to learn about this, I could process it and move on. But if anything else happened in our early months of dating or any time since, I need to know. I encouraged her that now is the time to tell me so I can process it all at once and be done with it. She promised there was nothing else to tell me. I asked if she swears on our family, and she said yes. I swear on our family. There's nothing else. She said she hopes we can build our relationship even stronger after this, and she's sorry she lied for so long. She even admitted that in the previous weeks and discussions that she was gaslighting me by allowing me to think I was losing my mind because I was thinking so much about the distant past, and she was lying to me that there was nothing to worry about from back then. So I started to trust her and process and move on. I knew that I needed to work past this, so I did for about a week and a half. Then one day she has an appointment with her therapist in the morning, and later in the day, she says she has more to tell me. Two other things. She says also in March or April, when we were first dating, one time at a party she met a guy she didn't know. They were attracted to each other, talked for a while, and he kissed her. She kissed him back, but only for 20 seconds or so, and that was it. Then the other thing, she didn't want to talk much about, but she says she went to another party with some people she sort of knew. She got drunk, and she gave oral sex to a guy. At this point, I'm just kind of dumbfounded. I've been processing a lot, started to move past it, and now this. And she had lied to my face again, swore on our family. She said truly this time she's told me everything. She said she wanted to tell me this the other day when she told me about the thing with her ex-boyfriend, but when I got upset after that news, she then suddenly couldn't tell me. She says she wanted to talk to her therapist about it to figure out how to tell me. She promised that this is everything, and she realizes how dishonest she's been for so many years and that she wants to be a better person and be honest with me. We discuss more about the two other incidents she told me about. The oral sex at the party, she says happened the night before some specific memory she has with me. I told her that event with me actually happened much earlier, in September of senior year of high school, when we weren't even dating, we were just friends. She says, oh, then that's when the oral sex at the party happened. This does kind of make sense in my mind because that was right after she broke up with her ex and was especially a mess. But it is crazy how her memory was off by 7 months. But I told her, if it happened that far before we were really together, then it doesn't matter that much to me. I hope I can trust her on this. But then the kissing another guy at a different party, I remembered her going to the party she was talking about, and I realized it was actually in late May, almost a month after she had told me I was her boyfriend, when we were much more together and definitely telling each other we were exclusive. She said she honestly thought it was in March or April, but she agreed that the May date made sense. She says she knew when it happened that she was falling in love with me. I reminded her of where our relationship was at that point, and it was like she hadn't realized in all these years that she may have actually cheated on me. That period was so blurry for us that she had convinced herself, I think, that we technically weren't all the way together at that point. But she admitted now that yeah, she may have cheated on me with that incident, but that nothing else ever happened with anyone from that day forward in all our 20 years together. I asked her more about what happened that night. She says she drank some or maybe even smoked some weed. She said they were attracted to each other and honestly just kissed. She says it was only 20 seconds and she pulled away, but probably didn't say anything about having a boyfriend or anything. She then tells me she gave him her number. This honestly shocks me even more because not only was there a maybe drunken mistake, but she also gave him her number. She says she may have even given it to him before they kissed. I asked if he ever contacted her or anything, and she says she can't remember, but didn't think so. A few days after that incident was our high school graduation and the first time we had sex. We went on to have a wonderful summer of being in love, spending all of our time together. It hurts to know that she did this thing right before that and then never told me about it for all these years. I told her I want to trust that she's told me everything and that she never did anything else in our 20 years together. But she's lied to my face for 20 years and about 10 times in the past month, slowly telling me more and more. And yes, it is a very strange feeling to think that if I had known about a couple of these incidents back when we were first together, it may have been the end of our relationship back at the start. She insists she's told me everything now, and again, she wants to be a better person, and be honest and us grow together. I want the same as well. She's cried a lot with me and apologized many times. Again, I know that these things are from decades ago, and I need to move past them, and I will. I love my wife and am committed to her. The recent lying is some of the hardest part to deal with, and obviously we've both breached each other's trust in some ways. I'm trying to process it as best I can so we can grow from this and move forward stronger. We've had very good conversations together so far, but I'm just trying to figure out if there's anything I'm missing or should be doing. Is there any way to help me be able to trust her fully or know that she's telling me the full truth now? Any advice would be appreciated. Edit. Just wanted to add that after many discussions with her, it does seem true that the high school part of our relationship is really quite blurry to her, and she doesn't remember details as well as I do. She says it was a traumatic time for her with her ex cheating on her, her family issues, her mistakes she made. She feels like a completely different person from who she was then, and honestly, she really is. After a couple years with me, she really changed a lot and is very different from how she was in high school. Just adding for extra information.